Hi everyone, it's Stephanie here with a video for my favorite things. In today's video, I'm going to be recreating this beautiful card that design team member Francine created using products from our new November 2016 release. We're going to be using the new Deepest Sympathy stamp set along with the horizontal snowdrifts cover-up dynamics to create a stained glass look on a card. So I've went ahead and pre-trimmed all of the pieces that we're going to be using. I have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch side folding note card. I have a black piece of cardstock that we've cut out with the horizontal snowdrifts cover up, and we just want to use the outside pieces. And then I also have a white piece of cardstock that I've cut out with the same cover up dynamics, but I've only kept one inside piece, and that's what we're going to be using to add the sentiment onto. For the rest of the openings on the inside of this, we're going to be using vellum that we're going to add color to with distress inks. So you can see here I have my vellum pieces and I have my distress inks lined up above me so that I can kind of just grab what I need and add the ink to the vellum panel. So I'm using ink blending tools to do this, and I decided for my card I would go a little bit lighter. Francine's has a lot of blue in it, and while that's beautiful, I wanted to show how nice it looks with the more of the lighter colors rather than all of the darker colors. So for mine, I'm going to go a little bit lighter and use more of the yellows and the greens. So I started off with yellow first, and then I added the Twisted Citron, which is like a real limey green. Then I added peacock feathers, and then I added, I believe this is Blueprint Sketch. This is a nice dark blue color. And what I'm doing is I'm just adding this to the vellum piece with my ink blending tool, and I'm kind of overlapping each of the color areas so that all of the ink blends together and kind of gradates together without a harsh line showing where the first ink stops and the next ink starts. I wanted them to kind of really blend together. And then when I finished that first one, I went ahead and did the exact same thing with the second. I did swap out the paper underneath there. It was getting pretty wet and I was starting to rip it, so I just put a craft mat underneath of my vellum panel and I was able to add the ink no problem. And I just repeated the same process that I had done with the first one. I just added the yellow ink first and then just went down with the green, the peacock feathers, and then the blue color and added the ink until I was happy with the colors and with the blending on the vellum panel. Vellum and distress inks can be a little bit tricky. You have to kind of be careful with your fingers. It does leave finger marks and it stays a little bit wet for a little while, so you just want to be careful and let them sit aside to fully dry before you start to adhere the actual card. So once I did finish all this inking, I did let them sit and dry before I did any more with the card. Now I have the two dry panels and I want to add them to the center areas of this die cut piece, so we're going to have to die cut them. Now, to die cut them and then add adhesive, I thought was going to be a little bit difficult. I didn't want to kind of deal with that. I wanted to add the adhesive all at once onto the vellum panels. And since we're using spray adhesive, which is a sticky mess, I decided to add the adhesive to the entire vellum piece and then adhere that to a white piece of cardstock. And then I can die cut the inside pieces from that cardstock piece, which is so much easier. You have a lot more stability with that cardstock already on there. And it just allowed me to add the adhesive onto the vellum and add that to the cardstock before we did any of the die cutting, which was so much easier. Now when I did the die cutting, I flipped the die cut around so that I have one side has the yellow on one end and then the other side has the yellow on the other end. So this way, when I layer all of the pieces inside, I have the color kind of shifting back and forth as you go down this cool cover-up die. So what I'm doing is I'm adding the black outline piece. I put some liquid glue onto that since it is really thin. It's really easy to just kind of run the glue pen around all of the pieces on this cardstock panel here. And then I just adhered that directly onto the white cardstock. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pieces, and I actually have them positioned upside down in relation to my piece here. So I'm going to start at the bottom of the die cut pieces that we've kind of have on each side there. And I'm going to start with one, and then I'm going to go over to the next one, and I'm going to go with the next one up since that's the area that we're going to fill this time. And then I'm going to add this one in. And you'll see when I put the second one in that the yellow ends up on the left side versus the right side. So it's just a really fun way to kind of add a little bit more detail and fun to this image because it kind of moves the colors and really makes it flow down the card front. The next opening is the one that we're going to add the sentiment to, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that one, and I'm going to work my way down to the next opening and add my next color piece there. And then we're going to finish this off with the very bottom one, and I'm just going to add that into the bottom, and that is going to finish all of the colored pieces for this panel. And we're left with this beautiful, almost stained glass looking detail in the whole background of the card. For the sentiment on the card, I'm using the Deepest Sympathy stamp, and I'm going to stamp that with black licorice dye ink. This fits perfectly into that area on the cardstock panel, so I went ahead and stamped it on there, and then I'm going to adhere this directly into that opening that we've left with no color so that I have a great little spot for my sentiment. And I love how the white kind of pops from the center of the card and has that really nice sentiment there. I love the fonts used in the sentiment, and I just think it looks so pretty with the background that we've created. And then to finish it off, I just took some pearls and added them to the cardstock design, and that is going to complete today's card. So huge thank you to Francine for such a beautiful card for us to recreate in today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.